I call this meeting of the Conference Committee for House File 2, Paid Family and Medical Leave, to order. Quorum is present. Members, we have come to some substantive agreement on the bill. So our agenda for today will include having nonpartisan staff run through items of agreement. We will then move to adopt the agreed upon sections and consider further amendments. We will also have staff run through the fiscal pieces of that and adopt that report. So I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Fontaine from Senate Research and Marta James from House Research. If you guys have questions during this run-through, feel free to ask.
Madam Chair and members, we are going to be working from the side-by-side document. I will be going through what some conversations have been around what language would be included and some other changes that will be made to the language. And then there will also be an amendment or some amendments coming forward that are being prepared. I will note when I get to those sections where those amendments will be forthcoming. So on page R1, we are going to start with the section that we will be including will be the Senate Section 1. So that was on the family and medical insurance data. We will not be including the word incapacitated person, though. So that will be deleted from line 1.17. I also want to mention that the effective dates throughout the bill will be to be determined. However, the effective date for when the benefit program will go into place will be January 1, 2026. There will be some other effective dates that will be to be determined, but for now, the discussions have been for a January 1, 2026 effective date. So I'm not going to talk about all the effective dates for every section at this point, other than that statement. And I'm not sure, I can continue to go. Is Ms. James, is she on? I wasn't, and I don't know if she wants to do, if we're taking a House side or if I can keep going. Should I go for a little bit longer? Okay, so I will continue. Then on R1, we are going to be looking at Section 2 that, from the House side. This is a definition for us from the, it's an insurance term of policy of accident and sickness insurance. We are bringing that into the conference committee report. Then on R1, we are going to also go with the House language, which was similar for the compliance orders. That goes over to page R2. On R2, I believe we already adopted the required statement of earnings by employer, notice to employee, so that we will take the House language on that. For Section 4, that's down from R2 to R3. Then we are, I believe, we are including on then we go to R4 on the Senate side. Is this, or did we make a decision on this? We are including this as well. This has to do with employed persons with disabilities and the interaction if they're receiving family and medical leave benefits. So that clarifies how that would interact with those persons with disabilities. So we are including the Senate language. Then over to page R6. Then on R6 on the House language, we are still waiting for a decision on this language, so we will put a pause on Section 5 from the House. This is for the personal care assistance choice option. We're moving on then to page R9. We've already adopted, the Conference Committee has already adopted Section 8. This is the use of data, data that's collected as part of the family and medical leave program. So you'll see the new language there on 10.6 on page R10 that's being included here in this section regarding data. Then we get to, on page R11, we have this is where the definitions begin for the program, and this is quite a few pages. I may be going back and forth a little bit on this particular area. So on R11 definitions, we're going to first start with section 9 of the House language. And we're going to take all that language on this page, so that includes the base period language from the House. So all of the base period language goes over to page R13, down to line 12.13. On the definition of benefit on line 1214 to 1216, I also want to point out that there's been a decision on related to the term pregnancy as it's used in this chapter. And so what the decision has been is on line 12.15, it is, instead of just using the term pregnancy, it is now going to be medical care related to pregnancy, to clarify that we're not talking about the entire pregnancy as a condition, but just to that medical care. And I'm not sure if anyone needs to speak to this, but just mentioning that is what the decision has been made for the terminology. We are going to continue then on the House language all the way through R13. So we will turn to page R14. We're also including the House language for construction industry on line 1312 to 1315. On line 1316, we were going to take the definition, it's going to be modified for subdivision 14 it's going to be for active duty. And then what will be reflected is that on line 1317, before the period, we're going to say, and it includes domestic deployment as well, because I believe that the federal definition talks about only deployment outside of the contiguous 48, or outside of the country. So this also includes domestic deployment. Then we will, let's see, so then on the definition of covered employment, lines 1318 to 1332, we are taking the House language. However, on lines 1323, 1324, 1326, and 1329, the term quarter, it's going to be changed from quarter to year instead of as it is right now. So I just want to point that out. That is how it will be in the draft report.
And 13.30.
13.30 as well. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
If I can borrow
sorry,
a
Martha
pen.
James from
1330. Okay. And then we will move over to page R15. We are also putting a pause on the seasonal employees that the Senate contains in their definition of employee. You will see that language on lines 10.9 to 10.17. They are, so language will be forthcoming on clarifying seasonal employees. So then we are going to continue on page R15 with Senate language on the definition of employer. So that's lines 1018 through the bottom of the page. There are just a couple little differences clarifying that it applies to boards or commissions, and then there's some employee leasing language on line 10.31 that will be coming in that the House did not contain. So we will move on to page R16. We will not be including the on lines 15.4 to 15.6. The House still had the insurance enforcement account. That will not be part of the final program language. So that's not coming in, but then we will include the lines 15.7 to the bottom of the page on the House. We'll be taking the House definition of family member, and just to let the Conference Committee know that. We will continue down to House language for the family member to line 1530 then on the House side. We will move over to the Senate side for the definition of healthcare providers. So I'm looking at lines 12.3 to 12.16. That's on R17. We the Commerce Committee is not including the Senate's incapacitated person concept. You'll see that at line 1217 to 1219. That will not be included. Then we'll move back over to the House side, line 1614 to 1627. We will include the House language. I want to point out on 16.27, again, inserting before pregnancy, it will read medical care related to pregnancy. So we continue over to R18. We will take looking at the House language, lines 1628 to 1632. Stillbirth, it needs to be all one word. So we will take the House language on that. But then we will move over to the Senate language on R18, looking at lines 13.6 to 1332, taking all those for the Senate definitions. In particular, I want to point out the self-employed individual definition, line 13.28. This will be including one taxable year for those, for the self-employed individual. That's what they'll be looking at for their income. So it'll just be 1 year for that. On lines, then, so we're going to continue with the Senate language onto our page R19. The Senate has, the amount of time for incapacity we're looking at is 7 days, 7 or more days, and it was different in the House. It was for 3 consecutive full calendar days. Yes, so I think we don't have any other changes there, except for on line 14.17, instead of the word employees, it will be now, we're changing that to individuals. So I just want to reflect that for the record. On page R20, we're going to continue with Senate language. So all of that will be Senate language. And so that includes the lines at 15.29 to 1530. Regarding that the supplemental benefits combined with any leave benefits received cannot exceed the regular wage or salary of the applicant. So we're including that within, with regard to supplemental benefit payments. And then on page.
And then on lines 15.6, we'll take out the word consecutive.
That's, I knew there was something on that. So I'm sorry, Madam Chair, on line 15.6, delete consecutive.
Would it also be on 15.15?
Madam Chair, is it also, it should also be then, thank you, Senator McQuaid. Lines 15.15, delete consecutive after 7. Okay, so then if we're okay with that page.
No, that stays.
That stays.
Yeah, that stays, I'm sorry.
Okay. If the revisor is listening, we will reinsert consecutive on line 1515.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I believe, Madam Chair, that you sent me an email that I am sending to the revisor, so this might be duplicated, and she might already know about this.
Perfect.
But if you have anything you want to add, please chime in. On page R21, we have the definition. For the definition of wages, I just wanted to point out that I know it looks like a really long definition that we're not taking from the House, but it is basically the same definition as the unemployment insurance definition. So we're just going to do a cross-reference to save some words. So we can move over to page R24, and we will take the Senate language on all of the side, except for I will point out that we are not including on line 17.7, we're not clarifying that employees are serving the classified civil service of the state. So that is being removed from the discussion. We are continuing down then on page R25 to include, I believe we've received some language. So you'll see subdivision 6 on the Senate side. It's regarding procurement. There was a discussion about this on the Senate floor the other day. On line 17.23 to 17.26, we have received some language from DEED that is tightening up the references to the particular statutes instead of to an entire chapter. So that will be language that will be forthcoming in an amendment. So we will begin, keeps on R25, we will take the House language on section 11, that's lines 24, 23, down to the bottom of the page. There will be inserted, though, on line 24.32, after benefits, it will read, due to misrepresentation. Just want to reflect that. That's already on the Senate side, but we're bringing it over. Moving over to page R26, we will be taking the Senate language on Section 8, benefit account benefits. So that language is from 1814 all the way down to, onto R27. We are including the Senate language for the maximum length of benefits. So that is through R27. Moving on to R28, we will also be taking the Senate language on R28. On R29, I think we already adopted this, Section 13, Section 9 for the Senate regarding notification of changed circumstances, so that is included. Then we're looking at Section 14 on the House side, page R29, for the eligibility requirements, payments that affect benefits. Again, on 29.12, before pregnancy, we will insert or medical care related to pregnancy, and then put a period after that, and then delete or recovery from pregnancy for the period required under this subdivision. So moving on to R30, again, we'll be looking at the House language. Again, insertion on 29.25 of medical care related to pregnancy, deleting recovery from pregnancy after that. On page R31, this is a little complicated page, but I will, we're taking the House language, we're taking the Senate language on lines 20, so I believe it's House language all the way through 30.31. And then we will move to the Senate language on 23.6 to 23.10, back over to include on the House side, lines 31.4 and 31.5. Then we're moving back to the Senate language from 23.11 to 23.20. And Madam Chair, if I am stating incorrectly, please jump in.
I don't think you are, but can you repeat what you said?
Okay, so I believe what I have here is we took all of the House language from R30 except for, as I mentioned, medical care related pregnancy, strike that language, recovery from pregnancy. Then we are continuing down to.
Just one addition there. We just took that one sentence from the Senate on 2213 and 2215, starting at if the applicant requests.
Yes, we are, that was a late breaking
Yep.
addition.
Yep.
My apologies.
Nope.
So we will, so on line 30.15 of the House language, after that, we will insert lines 22.13 to 22.15. After condition, there's a sentence regarding intermittent leave that will come over to after line 30.5, the period. Does everyone understand? Okay, very good. This has also been communicated to the revisers, so, or will be communicated to them. So we have that. Thank you, Madam Chair. So we will move on to page R31. So we are taking the House language down through line 30.31. Then we will move over to the Senate language, taking lines 23.6 to 23.10. This is paragraph F. Then moving back to the House language to take lines 31.4 to 31.5. And then we are moved back over to the Senate language for lines 23.11 to 23.20. That is paragraphs G, and then talking about eligibility, or not eligible. And then as I recall, we move back over to the House language, lines 31.17 to 31.23. And finally, we want to take language from the Senate paragraph B, lines 23.28 to 23.31. Perfect. And then that goes down to, we move over to R32, and we take 24.1 on the Senate to 24.2. Okay, that page was a rough page, but we will move back over to, on R32, we're looking at lines 31.30 down to the bottom of the page, 32.29. This is from the House language. We'll also include R33, all of the House language. So that includes all of the Social Security disability benefits. Most of this language is all the same, so I think it's just some wording choice differences. Then, so that includes section 15, determination on issues of eligibility, page R33, House language. We continue through R34, also with House language. And then on R35, House language for the appeals process. Madam Chair, were we waiting for something on this appeals process, or was that a different piece?
We are waiting for just some technical changes to that process. We are waiting on language.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's also as I recall. We are also waiting for some language on the, regarding the 90-day right to leave piece. Madam Chair, is that correct? Okay, so for now, we will put a pause on that exact conversation. So we're going to leave section 17 on the House side. But Madam Chair, do we want to include on R36, do we want to include lines 36.4 to 36.27, except for on 36.12, we're deleting or on a reduced schedule basis?
No, I think
No.
we're accepting the Senate language on that side.
We are accepting the Senate language on that side. Okay. Okay. Then because, Madam Chair, we are also, my notes indicate that we're also going to include page R36 to R37, all of the Senate language from line 29.1 to 30.2.
That is correct.
Okay.
But we are also going to add the House language on 36.25 to 36.27.
Yes, but, Madam Chair, so after line 28.25,
Yes.
we will move over the House language, lines 36.25 to 36.27.
Correct.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we can move on to page R38. My notes indicate we'll take the Senate language from lines 30.3 to 30.10. Are we coming back to the paragraph D, lines 30.11 to 30.16?
We're
There's a question on that.
yeah, we're waiting for some language on that one.
Okay, this is more, this is outstanding. We will come back to this at a later time. Continuing on page R38, this, we will be taking the House language beginning at line 38.3. This is section 18 regarding employment protections. We will take that language on the House side from R38 to R39. Also, the language continuing on the House through page R40. And then on R41, it is all, it is the House language. However, we're going to bring over the language from, that is on the Senate side, lines, that's highlighted, from lines 33.16 to 33.19, and also the language that's highlighted on lines 33.28 to 33.30.
That is.
Wait, so are we including the 90-day from the Senate side?
Yes.
Okay,
And then we also have an additional language to make that.
yes,
coming, so it's
yes.
not here yet. Yeah.
Okay, yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Continuing on to page R42, the agreement is to take all of the House language on R42. Also on R43, all of the House language, except we will be bringing over paragraph C, lines 35.22 to 35.24. We will,
Paragraph E.
paragraph paragraph E, I don't have my readers. Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay. Then, on page R44, private plan requirements, medical benefit program, my notes indicate that we have the Senate language on this side, and then on line 37.5, we are going, after condition, we will insert or medical care related to pregnancy to bring in that concept from the House side.
Madam Chair, I have a question about this medical care related to pregnancy. Do you want me to wait till the end or?
Yeah, because we're going to see it a few more
multiple
times.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senator McQuaid. On page R45, we will continue with the Senate language. However, we're going to change a shall to a must on line 36.19. And we aren't doing that everywhere, but the meeting yesterday indicated that was the desire. On page R46, we will continue with Senate language until line 39.6. Switching over to House language on subdivision 9 regarding employer reimbursement. So that is lines 46.33 through 47.11. And then on to R47, continuing with House language to line 47.24. And then we will turn back to Senate language on line 39.24 this is subdivision 14 on amendment to a private plan. So that's through R47 through the bottom of the page. On R48 and R49, this is all Senate language. Page R50 is also Senate language on the wage reporting. To R51, on line 44.13, we need to change chapter to section. And then the rest is also Senate language, so section 18, employer premium accounts is Senate language. Moving back then to page R52, we will take the House language down through line 53.30, except for on line 53.23, after employee, insert a period and delete the rest of the line. And also on 53.24, delete everything before the period. On page 50, and then on line 53.27, delete the word contract. So the language, as I mentioned, is through 5330 for the House language. On page R52, we're still there. We're going to be taking the Senate language for the small business wage exclusion. So line 45.29, that's to 45.32, and then also through page R53 with some changes that I will specify right now. On R53, Senate language, line 46.6, we are going to be deleting the word employer, so it's just going to be the premium rates. On line 46.8, delete the highlighted language. On 46.9, delete the highlighted language. So from all three lines here, we're going to be removing employer participating in.
We changed, that changed.
Oh,
So we're
Madam
going to
Chair,
keep the
my
Senate
apologies.
language on that one. So we make it clear that it is the employer premium that we're talking about.
Okay, Madam Chair, so strike that. We will be keeping the highlighted language in the Senate language, but there are a couple other little changes we do need to make. On line 46.10, delete 0.57% and insert 0.4. On line 46.12, delete 0.13% and insert 0.3. And then on line 46.15, delete 1 and insert 1.2. Those are the changes for that page then. Moving on to page R54, I believe we already adopted we're taking all the Senate language on this side. We already adopted Section 20, I believe, for the income tax withholding. Also already adopted the collection of premiums section. So that's down through page R54 to R55. Senate
Madam
language
Chair.
also through R56 regarding the child support deduction from benefits. We've already adopted on R57 the compromise section, Section 23 on the Senate side, also Section 24. We will be taking the Senate language there. The difference was just a reference to including the Department of Commerce. So that's R57. R58, again, Senate language, including the Department of Commerce for the public outreach. For, on R58, we are waiting for some penalty language, believe, coming from deed for overpayment penalties. So would you like to include this section for now, or are we still waiting for some language from deed, Madam Chair?
I think we were still waiting.
Oh, for the 15%. Yeah, we're waiting for language.
Yeah, we're waiting.
We will put a pause on Section 26 from the Senate side, but I believe we were looking at the Senate language for this, just waiting for a little more language. So if we move down then to R59, I am indicating still,
Same.
Madam Chair, are we on R59?
Yep.
Okay, R59. We are going to remove the language on lines 53. We're not including the lines 15.13, paragraph E, or lines 15.13 to 15.17.
Correct.
Okay. Moving over to page R60, we have a couple of more, I believe both of these provisions were already included, so Section
Madam Chair.
27, Section 28 from the Senate language on R60.
One second, Carla, we have a question.
Madam Chair?
Thank you. I think I just got a little bit lost when we were on page R59. I heard you say 15 point something, and I was looking for that, and I.
Oh, Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
You might have said something else, but-
Lines 53.13, my apologies.
Thank you. Okay.
53.13 to 53.17 will not be included in either side, in the report.
Okay,
in the
thank
draft
you for that.
report.
I appreciate it.
My apologies.
Not a problem.
Madam Chair, on page R61, we already discussed this yesterday. I believe it was adopted, so this was the same language on both sides. Similarly, on page R61, also adopted by the committee. Page R63, also already adopted to R64, R65, then also R66. That's also has been discussed and adopted by the conference committee. To page R67, that language, this is the same, goes to Senate side 61.22. Then we will, on R67, the discussion has been to include the House language on Section 37 regarding notice requirements. This is line 69.27 down to the bottom of the page. Then we, on page R68, so that's the House language to the bottom of R67. Then at the top of R68, line 62.11 to 62.22, it will be the Senate language. Madam Chair, now we are moving over to page on R68 still. Senate language all the way down through 62.11 to 62.22. Over to the House language then, this is with regard to providing the Department of Employment and Economic Development, providing uniform employee notice. So on line 71.7 to 71.2, delete everything after the period on line 71.12. So it would include everything until 71.2, the period, and then the rest of the language would not be included. So that will be brought in.
So actually what we'll do is we'll take lines 71.7 to
Yes.
71.10 and the period after Minnesota and not take the language after that.
Madam Chair, is that what we've decided? Okay, very good. That sounds wonderful. I will get that reflected correctly then. Okay, Madam Chair, then on page R68, we have my notes indicate that we have section 38 from the House, except for we are not including lines 72.3 to 72.12. This is clause 4, but we are including line 72.13, and we will renumber that as clause 4.
That is correct.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On page R69, the only change to this section, we will be taking the House language. The only change to this section is on line 72.19, after of, requirements of, insert state or federal law. So it will be with regard to whether or not something in this act is inconsistent with state or federal law. So page R69, include that with the change. Moving over to page R70. Madam Chair, the deed has provided some language for the small business assistance grants. This would be coming via amendment, so let's also put a pause on this, sections 40 and sections 36 from the Senate language on R70. On R71, we will be including sections 37 and 38. This is with regard to, this is line 64.15, with actually all the Senate language all through the bottom, but section 37 is regarding the direct care provider account that creates that account. 64.22 is for the stakeholder group that the Commissioner of Human Services will convene with the stakeholders on the issue of direct care providers, direct care workers for their premium amounts. And as I mentioned on line 65.22, section 40, for the date, the effective date, as I mentioned on line 65.24, will be January 1, 2026. On page R71, we will be taking all of I have my notes indicate we will take all the language from the Senate side through R71, so through line 71.11. We can also take all the language from the Senate side on page R72. I have indicated on page R73, we are taking the House language. I don't know that there's any difference, but we can do that. Line 75.11 on the House language through 76.5. Again, we are including a January 1, 2026 date, effective date on line 76.5. For the actuarial study, we also have received some language from DEED on this, I believe, Madam Chair.
That's correct.
Yes, we have. So on page R73, we will put a pause on the exact language for the actuarial study. That is forthcoming via amendment. So that would be through page R74. And finally, I can turn it over to the fiscal staff for discussion regarding the appropriations. I do know that on page R77, that MMB was working on something regarding the enterprise cost-based establishment. I think that was what they were working on, or the transfer language, I can't remember. But I will have Ms. Eng go over now the appropriations, Madam Chair, thank you. And if anyone has any questions, we can do that.
That was
Thank you, Madam Chair.
fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Senator McQuaid, you had a question.
I do, or suggestions potentially.
Yeah.
So, and I just want to make sure that I'm hearing this right. I'm going to go back to wherever we started talking about medical care related to pregnancy. Sorry, medical care related to pregnancy. Will you just point me to any one of those lines?
Sure.
I'm trying to find one.
So the first definition will be on page R18 on line 16.31 on the House side.
Thank you. So I'm just thinking through my own experience, and I'm wondering if, as we go through and all the places we've been changing medical care related to pregnancy, we change it to pregnancy as defined in section 17 subdivision 2. And I say that only because, like, when I was pregnant, I had just horrific morning sickness. And so there were 2 weeks where I wasn't receiving medical care, but I was just throwing up in the house. And so that wouldn't have qualified me to take paid leave, but I would have needed it. And so I'm wondering if we can go back to, I would have been incapacitated due to pregnancy. I wonder
so
if we could do that.
Very good point. So the definition is the same, and the word pregnancy here will also be changed to
be.
medical care.
Okay.
So it's the exact same thing.
Got it.
Yep.
And then my last question is the reduced schedule language. Are we moving away from that?
We are not doing, we're doing intermittent leave, but we're not
Okay.
doing a reduced schedule leave because we heard from businesses that was too complicated.
Oh.
We heard from Dee that it's impossible for the entire state for us to be like, all right, you took a half hour on this day and 45 minutes on this day, and then we have to add that all up. Logistically, it would be an administrative nightmare.
Madam Chair, but could we do something where it's like, because I did half days on my way back, and that
So
was,
we went with a full day just to make it easier.
all right.
Yeah.
My boss loved having me back. I'm just saying.
Madam Chair, I believe Ms. James was listening to our side-by-side walkthrough. She had a couple of things she was trying to point out. I don't know that she's able to talk, so we could have them go through the spreadsheet, and I will try to figure out the things that she pointed out while I was doing my walkthrough. And if she's able to get on and state those, otherwise I will try to address what she's mentioning in our chat here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, so we can have fiscal walk through that spreadsheet then?
Madam Chair, Ashley Eng, House Fiscal. Looking at the appropriations article on page R74, the numbers from the spreadsheet will be inserted into each section. So on the spreadsheet titled Paid Family and Medical Leave Insurance with the timestamp of 6:45 PM in the bottom right corner, looking at the appropriations for deed, these are all from the fiscal note, and they will cover the startup and administrative costs of the program. On line 25 of the spreadsheet, to deed, there will be $50,938,000 in fiscal year '24, and $71,357,000 in fiscal year '25. And then the base will be set, I believe. Will we set the base? Okay, and then looking at the columns for fiscal year '26 and '27, this reflects the estimate of benefits paid for those years, but that will not be included in the bill. One point to note here is that the amount will be cut in half because of the shift in the effective date. Now, looking at the Department of Labor and Industry, this will be, the total will be on line 37 of the spreadsheet. There will be $601,000 in fiscal year '24, $374,000 in fiscal year '25, and then the base will be set.
And Madam Chair,
The Department of Commerce on line 9 of the spreadsheet.
Actually, one question.
Sorry.
Madam Chair, just going back to the base amount in deed for fiscal year 2026 would be 76 million, and then in fiscal year 2027 would be 73.6 million.
Thank you. The Department of Commerce on line 9, there will be 376 in fiscal year '24 and 316,000 in fiscal year '25. For '24, I meant 376,000, and then the base will be set at 128,000 per year. Going down to Minnesota Management and Budget. On line 48, there will be 118,000 in fiscal year '25, and then the base will be set at 45,000. The Department of Human Services, that is on line 29 of the spreadsheet. There will be $2,649,000 in fiscal year '24, and then a base set of $530,000 per year for their IT. So that takes us through ARD 75. Now, the Secretary of State, on line 52, that'll be $384,000 in fiscal year '24, $4,000 in fiscal year '25, and then a base of $77,000 per year. The Supreme Court, that will be $15,000 in fiscal year '24, $15,000 in fiscal year '25. And then the legislature, there will be an appropriation of $18,000 in fiscal year '25. Then the University of Minnesota, there will be an appropriation of $1,372,000 in fiscal year '24 for implementation. And then Hannah, do you want to cover the rest?
Madam Chair, moving on to, looking back at the spreadsheet, and I believe the transfer in section 11 of both bills shows up on line 69 of the spreadsheet. And I believe the Senate's position will be adopted at 648.3 million transferred to the Family Medical Benefit Insurance Account in fiscal year 2024. Then moving on to R77. Section 12 of the Senate position, I believe, will also be adopted, and that's on line 70 of the spreadsheet, which is 20 million transferred to the direct care provider account. And section 13 of the, I believe of both positions have the same amount of MMB non-operating costs showing up on line 66 of the spreadsheet, a total of $3,049,000 in fiscal year 2026, and the same amount in fiscal year 2027 will be appropriated from the general fund. And Madam Chair, that covers the appropriation articles, and I can just touch on briefly the remainder of the spreadsheet, which goes over the totals if you'd like. You okay? Okay. I think, Madam Chair, I'll just note, as we noted earlier, with the effective date change, on the spreadsheet, there'll be one additional change on line 84, page 3. The revenue amount in fiscal year 2026 would be cut in half.
Thank you so much. Any questions? Seeing none.
Madam Chair, if there are none on that, I will go back to some of the comments that Ms. James was making.
Perfect. Yes,
when
please.
we have time for that.
Go ahead.
Okay. Madam Chair, Ms. James did note on page R54 that the tax treatment provision was not adopted yesterday. I know it's the same, but I believe that deed has language regarding tax treatment on page
Yep.
R54.
That's
So
correct.
that will be coming via amendment. So I want to clarify that we did not adopt that.
Okay.
Then on page R61, that is the lien levy language. We also are getting some language for that. So I believe it is the same, but we're getting some revised language from deed, and we have that as part of the amendment.
Correct. Representative Richardson.
Yeah, I think that language was just going to be a strikeout related to lines 64.9 through 64.11 related to the electronic transmission of a computerized filing system. So, but we can,
Yes,
Yes.
Madam Chair, that's right. It was a pretty easy change,
Yeah.
but
We can wait for that.
it will
it's
come
fine.
into the amendment.
Yeah.
It'll just be reflected there. So then the next item that Ms. James noted, let me see if I can get here. Is on Article 2, Section 1. Let's see here. I think there was a cross-reference, a technical cross-reference in Section 2. I'm not sure which line it is. Ms. James, do you have that right now?
Madam Chair and members, can you hear me?
Oh, there she is.
Okay. It's line 74.3. It's just a purely technical cross-reference to say clauses 1 to 9.
Thank you, Ms. James. Did everyone get that? And then, Ms. James, there was one other, Madam Chair, was there one other item that we did not discuss correctly? Madam Chair, Ms. James?
Madam Chair, Ms. Doyle-Fontaine, no, you got all three of the things that I noticed.
Madam Chair, thank you, Ms. James, for watching over us and our work.
All right, so what we're going to do next then is recess to the call of the chair so we can get that amendment language ready to go, and we will go from there. With that, we are recessed.